In the wake of the historic parole board hearing, members of the public have been asking whether the authorities consulted the loved ones of the victims. Reporters brought the matter before Minister for Home Affairs, Hermangild Francis, outside Parliament on Thursday, December 17th, one day after two men convicted of murder were granted parole.
Overseas, you have the public actually getting involved. We have not reached that stage yet, but eventually I think we will get there.
Okay, with these two parolees in particular, given the nature of their crimes, do you think there should have been consultation with the family members of the victims?
Again, that's what I'm telling you. The persons who are members of the board, the probation officers and so on, would have done all that. Okay, that's not for the minister to do, that's for them to do. And I think that they have done all that.
Why then did the parole board choose two murder convicts as its first participants in the parole board hearing? Francis says the matter was simply one of time served.
The judges were already threatening that persons come before them and applied for leave to come to them. As long as you had 15 years and you had not been given an opportunity to have parole, then they would have been released in dismissal.
So are there non-violent offenders who have served 15 years?
I do not know. That is what I'm saying. So it is a process. You discuss that with Mr. Herman. He will tell you that there are non-violent offenders. It is a lot of things happening there. The psychoanalysis has to be done, whether they're going to be rehabilitated, whether there's an opportunity of re-offending and these sort of things. So it's a long process.
So what's next for the two parolees?
What systems are in place to aid their reintegration?
Right. Again, if you would remember, we now have 4 additional probation officers, and those probation officers are assigned to individuals. So yesterday, I think 2 of them were successful. So each of them would have a probation officer monitoring them, going to the community that they live, and speaking to them on a daily basis or weekly basis and giving reports, so that if they were to break the bonds, then obviously it can be rescinded.
The hearing has elicited mixed reaction from members of society. Independent Senator Adrian Auger chimed in, pointing to the impact the parole board could have on overcrowding at the island's sole correctional facility.
It's expensive to keep people locked up, and studies show that it does not really change the crime situation in the country, and you have seen the escalations of violent crimes in recent times. So we welcome the formation of the parole board. We look forward to its frequent sitting, because we know that there are many cases of people who have been denied their freedoms and whose cases need to be reviewed. So very, very pleased to see this happening.
Human rights attorney Mary Francis has urged deep reforms to the penal system to help inmates reintegrate into society upon their release from behind the prison walls. The National Security Minister, who applauds the efforts of the human rights advocate, reveals plans are afoot to assist the ex-convicts in readjusting to life on the outside.
Inmates have done the GCs, they have done the vocational training and so on, and they are now progressing. So yes, we are doing that. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I want to see done, and I'm praying that we win the next general elections, is to have a halfway house, so that persons like the 2 individuals who have now been on parole, that they would have been able to, instead of going directly into the society, they would now receive your parole, but would have gone into the halfway house for at least a month or 2, so that their social skills and everything can be taught to them. Like I told you, it's a work in progress. That has never happened before. So this government has started the process, and we will continue.
Despite the uproar in some quarters of society over the lack of details surrounding the identity of the 2 inmates and the crimes they committed, officials explain that publication of such information could prove detrimental to the safety of the parolees. Solange Alfred, HCS News Force.